What's going on, guys? Power After Barn here, and I am here with the first game of the set between Figs versus Penta. This is going to be pretty intense. Both players are mauling until promo. Looks like neither of them ended up getting it. Their second mulligan. Penta, he gets it. He keeps his hand. Looks like Figs got it too. Figs wins the die roll, so he will more than likely elect to go first. He does. Bond's Alyssa. He's playing Blue Alm. I don't know how I feel about this variant. I don't think Figs himself is a particularly huge fan of this variant either. I think he prefers mono red these days, but this tournament started like almost 2 months ago, so and players haven't been able to change their decks since the start of it, so yeah. So, Penta decides to take a passive approach. He elects not to attack Figs. So much for my previous statement about this being, it's going to be a fast-paced set, high-octane action. Penta is just opting to take a very passive approach. He's not even going to try and attack Figs. Just doesn't want to give him the cards. I feel like that would be a good strategy if he was playing Sirius or Eldegon, but I question how useful it'll be versus Alm. I think, as I mentioned earlier, Alm's a pretty grindy deck, so I don't think Alm would really have much of any complaints about not being given his orbs early on. We'll see, though. Still not much action so far. Still early part of the game. Neither players have promoted. Penta, once again, elects to not attack. Just gonna not give Figs any cards. Hopefully, well, yeah, they mulled till promo, so I would hope that Figs has his promotion, which he does. That's good for him. Yeah. Not too much to say here. These players are they're just drawing, bonding, ending turn. If you're Figs, you're attacking. Penta isn't, though. Curious to see how this will work out. Penta does run Strategist Elise, so it could definitely pay off for him, but at the same time, I think it'll be tricky. Alm has lots of ways to get that Strategist Elise off the field. Alm himself can pull the Strategist Elise up with Intersecting Fates, which is his ability. It's a second ability she can use as long as Celica is on the board. And Celica herself also has 1 to 3 range. This Celica, at least ST Celica. And Figs going on the aggressive here. He opts to crit. I don't know how I feel about that, because Penta runs Leo in his deck, so I feel like it would be in Figs' best interest to try and keep his hand size reasonably high. 60 into 70, that's not going to hit, especially given Penta has a superior support base to Figs. He runs a lot more flyers, whereas Figs only runs 8, just runs 2 play sets of Fae, one of the 2-drop that gives Alm +10, and one of the overclass. So Penta, since he's playing Lucina at the start of every turn, instead of drawing for turn, he looks at the top 2 cards of his deck, chooses one of them, adds them to his hand, and the other one goes into retreat. We're going to be seeing a lot of that this game and this set if Penta fails to win this game. Penta finally bonds a black card, and if I had to guess here, I'd say we're going to see a Strategist Elise come out. Most likely with a clash change, Lucina's ability means that Strategist Elise will be a 70 base, which means that Figs' mages will have a hard time hitting it. It instead opts to go for the Leo 4-3. Looks like he's just going to be attacking that Alyssa, wants to get the Alyssa off the board. I don't think Penta wants to use Leo's retire skill, because that would mean that that would open up a face-up orb for Penta, and Leo's other skill you control face-up orb, then all players with 5 or more cards in their hand have to discard a card at the end of all of their turns. This would not be ideal for Penta, because Penta has more than 5 cards in hand and Figs does not. Anyways, Penta makes an interesting play. He tap moves back Lucina. Now, this means that Leo is actually going to be a 60 base, because Lucina only gives +10 to all clash-changed units on the front line. So this could potentially be an opportunity here for Figs. He can hit into that Leo with his 60 bases, but he's going to play May and make them 70 bases anyways, so it'll matter less. It still might matter because Penta runs a lot of flyers in his deck, and Penta's just going to dodge that. No doubt he probably has a lot of dodges. He runs 12 Leo and 12 Elise in this deck. He has lots of dodges for both Leo and Elise. Yeah, he's just going to keep on dodging. I wonder if he has even yet another dodge for Leo. He does. I don't know why Figs is critting that. I don't think he needs to crit. Oh, maybe he just wants a... Maybe he didn't have a copy of Alm in his retreat. He wanted to be able to get a card with Lissa. Unfortunately for Figs, does not have a Seraphim with which to remove that Leo with. So Penta just straight up is going to dodge twice or 3 times with Leo, and that Leo is going to stay on the board. The Leo is still a 60 base though, it's worth noting. Yeah, curious to see how this will end up developing though. Because I think Figs definitely has an advantage as far as board presence is concerned. Penta being forced to dodge 3 times has gone a long way in equalizing whatever disadvantage Figs had in cards, but it looks like that might end up changing here, because it looks like Penta is going to make use of... oh, he's not even going to try to attack May, he's just going to straight up use Leo's thing. Get May off the board. He's not going to play around. I highly doubt Figs has any Mays in his hand, because I think that if he did, he probably would have used them to Seraphim that Leo. So I don't think that baning the May was all that necessary, but it could have. Who knows? He might have had a May in his hand. Even if he did, I don't think Figs would have dodged it. But to be fair, there is one added benefit to Penta using Bane on the May, and that is that Figs cannot deploy another May this turn. Hopefully he realizes this, because he has enough bonds to Alm overclass, and he might go for an Alm overclass. Nope, he's not even going to. He's just going to play Celica. He's going to get that Elise off the board. Smart play by Figs. Does not want to mess around with that. That Elise does not want to let Penta leave that on board. I'd say Figs is looking in a pretty solid position right now. This Leo is most likely also going to leave the board. I highly doubt Penta has more evades, and now that Celica is just going to go straight into Penta's face. It's not going to hit though, because Celica is still 60, since Penta and Figs both have the same amount of units on the board. I might have actually used Alm's skill to drag Vasumiya up and had Celica attack Vasumiya, but I suppose it's fair that he might have just wanted to conserve his bonds. Doesn't want to spend the bond just to get rid of a 1-cost flyer. We'll see though. Penta is going to use Leo, and he's going to get rid of Figs' hand. Since Leo is not clash changed, he's not going to give -20 to all of Figs' units that were hit by the discard, but it's not going to matter that much in the end. Uses Sumiya to get Leo out of there, and now Penta has begun to hit Figs in the face. It's not going to connect though. Penta with an untimely self-support. Yeah. Figs still technically in the lead here, and he top decks an overclass. That is really good for him. He's almost definitely going to get a May off of that overclass. very surprised if he decided to grab anything other than a Mei with that overclass, because he can do it now. It's been 2 turns since the Mei got baned. There's nothing preventing him from deploying Mei, and sure enough, he deploys the Mei. He's gonna fry foes. Yeah, that is definitely a top deck. That is very fortunate for Figs. It's a good thing that he didn't flip the bond for intersecting Fates last turn. That would have been a misplay if he'd done that. Because then he wouldn't have been able to overclass, because that would have been the only card in his hand. So it's a good thing he didn't do what I would have done in that situation. Just played conservatively with his bonds, recognized that 1-cost flyer, not the end of the world, leaving it on the board. Better to just leave bonds open. Now Figs looks like he's in a very strong position here. I don't think Penta is entirely screwed. He could still potentially just wall Figs out of cards, because now Figs is going to have to bond a card in order to deploy another card. So if Penta has like another Leo in his hand he could use, that would be very beneficial for him right about now. But yeah, well, I think it is within the realm of possibility for Penta to win this game. I have my doubts. I have a feeling it's just not going to happen. I think Figs just has way too much of a lead here. We'll see what happens though. And Penta deploys a Tiki 5. I highly doubt Figs has dodges for anything, and if he does have Mei dodges, I don't know if he'd even want to use them. So yeah, that's definitely going to hit. That's going to give Penta another bond. He's probably going to heal a Lucina. I wouldn't be surprised if he tap moved back to Lucina as well. We'll see what he gets. Yeah, he grabs a Lucina. Oh, and he actually moves the Tiki back. That's interesting. Wants to keep that Tiki protected. Let's see if Figs has anything cooking in his hand that he can potentially work with here. He can make anything happen. He bonds a dodge, recognizes that he doesn't need that, and he has another Mei. Figs in a very good position here, being able to keep that Mei on the board. He's dropped Mei 3 separate times now, and that's going to hit due to self and with boost from Fry, meaning that even if Penta did get a 20 support there, it still would have, the attack still would have connected. Penta is going to dodge. Penta is just barely hanging on by a thread though. 5 orb differential between these players, and yet the hand size between the two is the exact same, and the field difference isn't that substantial either. Figs looking like he's in a very strong position here. Let's see if Penta has anything that he could potentially do to come back here. He does get Strategist Elise Clash Change, which makes me think that he's probably going to go for the Diva to Elise to give himself an orb to help keep his MC protected. This could potentially be scary for Figs if he doesn't have a way to get that Elise off the board. Could potentially allow Penta to come back. Even so, I think that Penta certainly has his work cut out for him if he wants to come back this game. He's going to attack the Mei, and that is going to hit. Gets a very fortunate flyer emblem. Allows Tiki to move up to the front row. At the same time, though, if I'm Figs, I probably don't mind taking an orb here either. He's probably going to tap move back with Lucina, I would assume. Does Penta even have an Elise to leave it to Elise with? If not, then that's absolutely huge for Figs. Penta with another flyer emblem, but he's going to give Figs another card. He doesn't have an Elise. This is Figs' opportunity to make something happen here. He could potentially do a Celica overclass play. He has enough bonds to do so. He can play just for 1-cost Celica, 5-cost Celica, clear Penta's entire board, and just hit face twice. That's a 90 and an 80, swinging into a 70. If he has that play, I feel like that'd be a really good play for him. But he's going to bond a blue card, so he's just going to play a Naui. The question is, what will he go for? Does not lose sight of what he needs to do here. He's just going to go straight for the face. Penta needs to shuffle, so he's going to do that. Yeah, Penta goes down to 2 cards in hand. And that is it. Wow. An impressive victory from Figs. I don't know if not attacking face was the right play there by Penta. I think he just gave Figs way too much breathing room this game. Certainly paid off for Figs, though. He was really able to turn things around. Yeah. And yep, as I predicted earlier, he didn't have any alms in his retreat. He wanted to have something to put in orbs with his Lissa when he used it earlier. Oh. Then maybe he did misplay. Well, who knows. I can always rewatch the VOD, see if he milled any alms. Anyways, on to game 2.